All right, so these markings are a little bit harder to see in the picture here, but this is a set of arrows and this is a set of congruent lines. So those arrows, remember that means parallel lines. And the dashes mean congruent to each other. So I have parallel lines, opposite lines parallel, one set of parallel lines, and two sides that are congruent. So from our choices quadrilateral, it is a quadrilateral because it's a four-sided. That just means four-sided figure. It's not a kite because a kite would be marked more like this. So adjacent, meaning sharing the same vertex, sides are congruent. And then a trapezoid, it is a trapezoid because it is the shape of that and it has the one set of parallel sides, but this added congruent opposite sides here makes it an isosceles trapezoid. Just like remember back from isosceles triangles where these two sides are the same. With that, you know these two angles are the same. So that's just back to your isosceles, which you've had probably more practice with triangles. So that's isosceles. This one, again, your markings, we have all four of these sides are the same. These 90-degree angles. Remember, those boxes do mean 90 degrees. So this means four congruent sides, four 90-degree angles, which looks like that. So that perpendicular to each other, there's 90-degree angles. Could be another way that that's notated. So a kite, again, a kite has two adjacent but not four congruent sides. Trapezoid has one set of parallel sides at the very least. Quadrilateral, it is a four-sided figure, but the most specific is going to be square because all the details are going to make it a square. So that's instead of me calling you a student or me calling you a boy or me calling you a girl, but calling you by your actual name. So very, very specific to who they are. Number 3, this has no markings on it. So that means at this point, all we know is that it is a four-sided figure, which is not enough because trapezoid, remember, has to have one set of parallel sides. Kite has to have adjacent sides congruent again. An isosceles trapezoid means the parallel sides, and then these two guys are going to be the same. So it's going to be a quadrilateral only because all we know is that it's a four-sided figure. You go off of exactly what the markings say, not what you think it looks like. So congruent, congruent, one, and there. All right, so these are adjacent. Adjacent meaning that they share a vertex. So this angle and this angle, these two sides are congruent and these two sides are congruent. Isosceles trapezoid, you're missing that parallel set of lines. Trapezoid in general, maybe. Quadrilateral, four-sided figure, it's definitely quadrilateral, but is that the best name? With the two adjacent sides being congruent, but not congruent to each other, but these two not. So these two are, but these two are not. Then this is a kite again. All right, so looking at this guy, got a set of parallel lines. The two legs are not, like the base and the top are parallel, but the two legs are not marked congruent. So the best you can call this is a trapezoid. So not isosceles. Isosceles would have had the two legs, and that's the two guys on the side, marked congruent. So I got my 90s and my four congruent sides. You tell me what you think it is. That's right, square. All right, throwing a little wrench in it here. We have our four 90-degree angles. Opposite sides are congruent, but adjacent, so sharing the vertex, are not congruent. So it's not necessarily, it's not a square. The square has to have four congruent sides. It's not a trapezoid as the best answer. It is a quadrilateral, obviously is a good answer, but it's not the best answer because we know that these two sides are congruent and these two sides are congruent. So it's going to be a rectangle. And then we have congruent sides and a set of parallel lines. So congruent sides and two parallel lines means that we have a trapezoid. And because these two sides are congruent, the opposite sides, that means it's an isosceles trapezoid. All right, guys, hopefully that was enough review from yesterday.